Holy One, I stand before you today to ask your blessing as we come together virtually to celebrate the graduating class of 2021. The past year was not what we had envisioned for our world or for our campus. Yet despite the losses we have endured and the many challenges we have faced, our resilient graduates have overcome adversity. We acknowledge that perseverance alone did not allow these students to arrive at this moment, for they have also been blessed with the support of our dedicated faculty and staff, and of their loving family and friends. Today, at this holy moment, I pray that our graduates are able to recognize all the blessings in their lives, to practice gratitude, and that they continue to experience the blessings of success, fulfillment, health, and happiness. We pray that our graduates will remember the lessons they learned here, both inside and outside their classrooms. We trust that they will continue to expand upon those lessons wherever their journey takes them, and that they will continue to embody the values of Pomona College. We hope they cherish the learning, experiences, friendship, support, and love they found here, that they bring these with them as they set out to create a better world. Dear God, bless our graduates, bless their families, and bless this community of higher education. May you continue to spread your knowledge, goodness, and love to all of creation. Reassure our graduates that goodness lies ahead, and give them the strength to remember that their generation can help overcome the many obstacles our society faces. May God bless these graduates and bless Pomona College.
On behalf of the trustees, faculty, and staff of Pomona College and the members of the senior class receiving their degrees, it is my privilege to welcome you to the 128th Commencement Exercises of Pomona College. Virtual though it may be, this celebration is very real. First, on behalf of the class of 2021, I want to express the deepest gratitude to our graduating seniors' families and friends, especially given this past year of pandemic, pain, upheaval, and uncertainty. You have provided shelter, comfort, companionship, encouragement, and so many other things that can't be quantified. Whether you were connected online or living in pods together, families and friends offered tenderness during these toughest of times. In years past, I've told graduates that they are stepping into a complicated and often difficult world. This year, I don't have to inform you of that. You're more than fully aware. You're fully immersed. But this year, I want to remind you that even in the midst of the struggle of a lifetime and unspeakable loss, there still is beauty to be found. Saying that is not glossing over what has happened. Saying that is holding two truths in tension, something you will find yourself doing every day. There was beauty in the support you found, whether it came from family, friends, faculty, staff, or counselors. There was beauty in the hope you maintained that you'd get through this. And there's beauty in the fact that effective vaccines are now available. There's also beauty today as we celebrate your incredible achievements. Every single graduate of the class of 2021 has fully met the highest academic standards of Pomona College. Our highest prize is the Rena Gurley Archibald Prize, awarded to the member of the graduating class with the highest academic achievement. This year, the Rena Gurley Archibald Prize is awarded to Sam Bither, Mira May, and Shirish Vinakota. Achievements like these are possible because of the efforts of Pomona professors. They pour in not only their intellectual energy, but their emotional energy too. They care far more than just about letter grades. They care for their students' well-being, and they care for their students' futures. Every year, we honor the best among our incredible faculty members. The WIG Award for Excellence in Teaching is granted each year by a committee of trustees and faculty based on ballots cast by students. It is the college's highest honor for its faculty. This year's WIG Award winners are Assistant Professor of Computer Science, Eleanor Burrell, Assistant Professor of Politics, Erica Dobbs, Associate Professor of Art History, Phyllis Jackson, Assistant Professor of Anthropology, Joanne Nugo, Assistant Professor of English, Kara Whitman, and Professor of Computer Science, Melanie Wu. Graduates, take pride in yourselves. You have faced some staggering obstacles, Yet here you are at the finish line. There are many more races to run, but you have this very important championship win to remember. Well done.
It is my honor to introduce our senior class president, Malak Afane. She is the proud daughter of Palestinian immigrants and a Posse scholar from Chicago, Illinois, with a double major in politics and Middle Eastern studies. Motivated by her commitment to giving back to her communities, she held numerous leadership positions in her time at Pomona, includes serving as both sophomore and senior class president, a first-generation low-income mentor, a women's union staff member, a Student of Color Alliance head mentor, Draper Center coordinator, and an organizer for the 5C's first ever Black and Brown Women of Color Conference. Furthermore, in her mission to increase positive representation of Muslim women both on campus and around the world, she founded her own company, Rosie the Hijabi, dedicated to centering the voices of Muslim women in fashion and media, with a percentage donated to survivors of gendered violence. She aspires to be a pioneer in the field of international human rights law and advocacy, and will be attending Berkeley Law in the fall as a Human Rights Center scholar. Malak?
Greetings to the Board of Trustees, President Starr, parents, faculty, staff, alumni, and to the amazing class of 2021. Thank you all for being with us on this very special day. When I found out that I was admitted to Pomona College, I was standing on a bus stop in the polar vortex that is Chicago. At the time, I worked over 28 hours a week as a waitress, serving up shawarma sandwiches and managing the cash register. I would work the night shift every day after school, dealing with customers who would take one look at my hijab and compliment me on how good my English was. When people looked at me, they didn't always see someone that was capable of going to college, but I was determined to prove them wrong. I scribbled ideas for my college essays on napkins and rehearsed what I would say in admissions interviews while washing dishes. So when I got a call that night at the bus stop from the Posse Foundation that I had been selected as one of the 11 scholars to receive a full ride to Pomona College, I cried. I cried at the fact that Posse had believed in me and that I was going to be the first person in my family to receive a bachelor's degree in the US. Many of us entered Pomona College and ran through the gates, feeling like we were on top of the world. We had made it. We were here. I was convinced that I was going to ace all of my classes and run into Rihanna in LA. While I am sad to say that I never ran into Rihanna or met her, I did meet people that I considered to be the biggest celebrities in my life, the amazing individuals of the class of 2021. When I failed my first chemistry test, it was our class that reminded me it is not our academic achievements that determine our worth, but that we are already worthy because we exist. When struggling to balance classes and work, it was the mentorship of Dean Paula Villas, who taught me the importance of listening to our bodies and giving it what it needs. When I didn't know what a cover letter was, it was the CDO staff and my professors that guided me. And when I grabbed breakfast at Frary, it was the chatting with dining hall staff that put a smile on my face. It is the generosity and kindness of our community that makes Pomona such a special place. And I have seen the ways our class has stood up for each other through the best of times and the worst of times. Our class has lived through circumstances like no other. We have spent our last year of college in a pandemic that has revealed the socioeconomic and racial inequalities that hinder the safety of our communities. But our legacy should not be defined by what we lost, but by the timeless contributions our class has made. I invite you on this day to not only celebrate being a college graduate, but to celebrate all the memories on your journey that have led up to this moment. Remember days spent ordering a Thai tea at the Coop, falling in snow and swimming on Ski Beach Day, watching the sunset on Mount Baldy, dancing at Dom's Lounge, and brunch on Sundays at Frank. It is these memories that we can hold on to and cherish as we pursue our post-Pomona journeys. I encourage the class of 2021 to remember all of the love, compassion, and strength our class has shared across the years, and take this power with us wherever we go next. We are all the next leaders, trailblazers, and pioneers, and I can't wait to see all that we do. Congratulations, class of 2021. We did it.
It is my pleasure to introduce the senior class speaker, Brandon Tran, a mathematics and statistics major who hails from Santa Clara, California. A native speaker of Vietnamese and fluent in Japanese, Brandon was an asset to the admissions office where he worked since 2018 as first a tour guide and then as an intern hosting panels and other events for prospective students and families. He also calls the Career Development Office home and was a peer advisor mentoring first years and providing programming to introduce students to careers in business and STEM. Brandon benefited from inspiring faculty mentors and gave back by mentoring students in mathematics, computer science, and Asian languages and literature. Brandon is looking forward to attending graduate school in the next few years, but in the meantime has accepted a position as a strategy analyst for Deloitte Consulting in San Jose, California. Brandon.
Thank you, Dean Hinkson, for the lovely introduction, and greetings to the Board of Trustees, President Starr, faculty, staff, parents, alumni, friends, and the radiant class of 2021. It is an honor to be here before you today to celebrate the arrival of our commencement. And I'll start by asking, do you remember who you were before coming to Pomona? Because I do. I couldn't always tell right from wrong. I couldn't discern my own thoughts from those of others. And more importantly, I had yet to fully experience some of the most beautiful things in life: strength in community, learning for the pure joy of learning, the boundless ends of love, and realizing that it's 10:30 p.m. on a Thursday, and for once, thank goodness, Fairy Snack hasn't been canceled. Young Brandon was an impossible seeming mix of confidence and insecurity, indecisiveness, and a fear of leaving home, where everything and everyone was familiar. This is why packing day ended up being the last day it possibly could, the afternoon before I left for Pomona. But the moment I came to campus, that fear started to vanish. A common question I get at admissions events is why I chose Pomona, and for that, I have a very clear answer. It's not because Pomona is part of the Claremont College's consortium, and our student-to-faculty ratio is 8-to-1, and believe it or not, we were ranked #1 on the Forbes Top Colleges list in 2015. It's not even because Pomona is filled with some of the most brilliant, interdisciplinary, and far-reaching minds I've ever, and likely will ever, meet in my life. I chose Pomona because of the people, because the people here are genuinely kind and humble, and at the heart of it all, that's what I needed in a new family and home. If there's anything I've learned about kindness and humility in the last 4 years, it's that those two traits alone will bring about a beauty unlike any other. This beauty took the form of my sponsors and mentors who welcomed me the moment I arrived and helped me settle into my room. It took the form of professors like Professor Lynn Miyake, who's retiring this year, but who invited me to a comforting meal before I'd even had my first classes. It took the form of Teo serving me my first legitimate omelet in Frank, and of needlessly complicated Facebook Messenger polls asking, where din, first sponsor and mentor group meals. And now that very same beauty takes the form of you, the graduating class of 2021, who have meticulously spent hours upon hours enhancing departments and offices, petitioning for change and equity on campus, developing mentor programs, and improving Pomona for the classes to come. When I say that every day at Pomona has been a better and brighter day, and I say this truthfully quite frequently when speaking for admissions, I say it because you all make it so. Sure, there's always more room to grow, but when you take a step back and look at the college experience we've crafted together, your labor gleams. Which is why the virtualization we've all undergone this past year and a half has been so wildly devastating. We were abruptly torn away from this home we helped build. We could no longer scoot past the steps of Carnegie, run our fingers along the walls of Estella, or throw one another into fountains for our birthdays, or for fun. We no longer run into professors and find ourselves still talking half an hour later, and we no longer fall into the arms of our friends when it seemed impossible to continue on. But it turns out that Pomona is just a place. That beauty I was describing earlier, the same beauty that encapsulates our most beloved professors, staff, and you all in the class of 2021, that beauty is something else. It's something that can transcend distance, time, and any other of nature's perils. That beauty is community. If Pomona and this pandemic have taught me one thing, it's that community is not a place, it's its people. And if there's something that can transcend the global pandemic, virtual Zoom boxes and text messages with no faces behind them, it's the very same kindness and humility that I cherished throughout my time at Pomona. Mentor groups have continued mentoring. Student organizations have continued their programming. Classes have gone on, offices have expanded, initiatives have taken hold, and voices have been bolstered despite our virtual landscape. Our community has remained resilient, and it is this exact resilience that will carry us into our postgraduate lives. We are emerging into a society plagued unexclusively by violence, racism, and destruction. There will be days when giving up seems more prudent than fighting on. In these moments, think back to your time at Pomona, where you've learned to discern right from wrong and fight back. Fight back in unison with those seeking benevolence. Remember that you are part of a home that held together even as it was physically torn apart. Inequity may pervade the human condition, but the communities you build are the strongest weapons with which to retaliate. In the words of Steven Spielberg, your job is to create a world that lasts forever. In this time of uncertainty, remember who you are. Hold true to your beauty. If you continue to do so, the right doors will always continue to open. Congratulations, class of 2021. Just as you did with our beloved Pomona, I wish you the best in your quest to make the world a better and brighter place for all.
I am pleased now to introduce Genevieve Faywin Lee, Everett S. Olive Professor of Music, who will perform a musical selection celebrating our graduates and honorary degree recipients.
Adi Barkan's work as an activist was forged early on. While a teenager and student at Claremont High, Adi grew interested in progressive causes and fought anti-gay rights legislation. After studying law at Yale, Adi went on to work as an advocate for immigrant legal rights and the Center for Popular Democracy, where he worked to connect progressive local elected officials across the country and helped found a national campaign for full employment and a reformed Federal Reserve. Adi has spent his entire life fighting against seemingly immovable institutions with courage and a fortitude that has inspired so many of us. After all of these stunning accomplishments and dedicated activism, Adi Barkan received a devastating diagnosis. In his book, Eyes to the Wind, Adi describes the days and weeks after learning he had ALS, a terminal illness, at the age of 32 and with a young child, Carl, only 4 months old. In a passage from the book, Adi grapples with the question, why me? He writes, "For me, a more complete and satisfactory answer to the question, why me, is because the world is unjust." I find this passage a beautiful illustration of Adi's spirit, his capacity to turn pain into empathy and solidarity. After his diagnosis, he went on the road, sharing his story across 22 states in 40 days, confronting 15 members of Congress, demanding healthcare as a human right. Adi remains committed to fighting the difficult fights, trusting in the power of ordinary people collectively organizing against powerful corporate interests. We are honoring Adi Barkan today, not only because he is a hero, but because he helps all of us to understand how heroism is about collective action, working with others, and in solidarity, no matter the odds. Life is short, and it is precious. Madam President, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Pomona College, it is my very great honor to present Adi Barkan for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon Adi Barkan the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters in Pomona College, honoris causa.
President Starr, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, parents, and students of Pomona College, thank you for having me. It is an honor to join you on this celebratory occasion. I spent 4 memorable years in this town here, living with my parents in the village and attending the storied institution right up the road, Claremont High School. I did some digging in the Claremont Wolf Packet newspaper archives to prepare for this speech, and I stumbled upon my senior profile. It reads, Adi Barkan, eyes, 2, height, damn tall, position, opinions tycoon. Though much has changed physically for me since 2002, especially since being diagnosed with ALS in 2016, which has left me paralyzed and speaking to you through a computer, I still claim my position as the reigning opinions tycoon. In the past 20 years, since I was president of the speech and debate team, I have been fortunate to have had many opportunities to share my indubitably correct opinions with powerful people. I was the first witness to testify at the first ever congressional hearing about Medicare for All. I went viral for a few days for lobbying a senator mid-flight to oppose a tax bill that would endanger working class people. I have sat down with the Federal Reserve leadership to demand that they focus on full employment, raising wages, and racial equity. And I interviewed all of the leading Democratic candidates for president last election. But it is particularly meaningful to be able to come back to Claremont, where I had so many good times, to share with you my melodious voice and my strong opinions. I only wish we were gathered together on the beautiful lawn in front of Bridges Theater. I know that you desperately wish it too. Your senior year has not been anything like you hoped it would be. But dealing with adversity is a topic for later in my oration. First, I want to share with you my top 3 memories from my time on campus at the Claremont colleges. My number 3 all-time memory was failing to read Moby Dick. I got into so many arguments with my AP literature teacher that we both agreed that it would be better if I took an English course at Pomona that spring instead of continuing to disrupt her class. So, I selected one on 19th century American lit, and proceeded to do about 30% of the reading. Moby Dick was definitely part of the other 70%. It's about a big fish, right? Number 2 all-time memory from the Claremont colleges was when I had one of my first R-rated makeout sessions late at night on a bench near some pretty bushes. Maybe it'd be best if I don't go into details on that one, right? But, my number 1 all-time memory, without a doubt, took place during the summer after sophomore year. That was the summer I was introduced to marijuana. Or, as my friend Pete called it, the sticky icky. Oh yeah. You know what I am talking about. We went to some secluded grassy field somewhere, and he showed me how to drill 3 holes into the center of an apple, how to inhale deep into my lungs, and how to enjoy the sweet sweet high that follows. We brought along a frisbee, and I remember so vividly to this day the rhythm and flow of our tosses, enlivened as we were with THC flowing through our blood. I still remember the precision of my forehand flicks. They popped right off my forefinger, uncanny in their accuracy. Pop 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 pop. It is a truly spectacular plant, isn't it? But, enough with the fun and games. This speech is not supposed to be about my past. It's supposed to be about your future. It is not supposed to be about hooking up, or about getting high. No graduation speech should ever talk about not doing the reading for class. God forbid. It's supposed to be didactic, prescriptive, and a little bit inspirational. So here goes. In today's lecture, I want to tell you about the world that awaits you. I loved college. It's where I met my wife, Rachel, and many of my closest friends. But my favorite decade was definitely the one after college. I spent my 20s in the struggle for economic and racial justice, fighting against powerful special interests as a young lawyer and activist in New York City. I helped a federal judge end the racist policing program of stop and frisk. I helped occupy Wall Street to protest rampant capitalism. I co-authored the New York City paid sick days law. My comrades and I challenged oppressive institutions not because we thought we would win. More often than not, we lost. We organized ourselves because we could not bear to live in a reality that accepted the alternative, a crumbling democracy, an epidemic of racism, a broken healthcare system. As we struggled alongside one another, we learned about ourselves and helped each other make our place in the world. We did some good along the way too. We learned that injustice is interconnected, and that freedom is too. So we worked to free ourselves by shaping the world as we believed it could be, a world where our immigrant parents had dignified jobs, where disabled people could lead independent lives because of comprehensive health care, where students, upon graduating, would find themselves indebted only to their communities and nothing else. In those years, I found joy advocating for causes that were near to my heart, yet were distant from my lived experiences. And then 5 years ago the injustices of life came to find me. At 32 years old, I was diagnosed with a terrible neurological illness called ALS. I was angry and in disbelief. I was young. I was a new dad settled into a great job, living the dream with my college sweetheart in paradisiacal Santa Barbara. Within a week of having a doctor check my hand for a potential carpal tunnel, I was told I had 3 to 4 years left to live. Many people ask me how I find the will to keep up the fight. To tell you the truth, I see no other alternative. It's what my younger self and my comrades back then knew intimately, that it is through collective struggle that we find personal liberation. I realized that I could transcend my dying body by hitching my future to yours. We could transcend the darkness of this moment, of any moment, by joining the struggles of past and future freedom fighters. By coming together in pursuit of a better world, we could tell a different story about who we were. Who I was. We could make meaning out of our time on Earth. I could make meaning even out of my ALS. Today, you graduate from one of the most prestigious institutions in the world. Whether you decide to become a teacher, a social worker, or an engineer, you will do so shaped by the knowledge and the experiences you've gathered in your 4 years at Pomona. It is a privilege to have some of your most formative years shaped by this remarkable institution and your brilliant peers. You don't need to save the planet alone. But you are going to have to do it together. What you must expect of yourself and of each other is an honest attempt to reach beyond your stretch to create a more just and equitable and sustainable world for the generations that follow you. When you are confronted with a moral injustice, and you will be, don't look away. Instead, step forward even as you tremble, and root down in purpose. Share your resources. And when short on hope, dream with the friends you've made here to imagine a brighter reality, and then get to work to bring that vision to life. Because hope is the result of hard work. Hope is action in the face of despair, and it requires your imagination to survive. I am hopeful for the future, and for yours, because I have seen how your generation is boundless in love and fierce in spirit. And though loss is inevitable, I have already seen the profound beauty your generation has forged from the depths of pain, especially from this past devastating year. So use all that is at your disposal, all that tugs on your heart, and make the most of your precious time here. YOLO, my friends. YOLO. Use it well. Congratulations class of 2021, and welcome to the world, it is yours for the making.
Bill Keller, Pomona class of 1970, graduated with a BA in what he once called eclectic studies with a minor in serendipity. Serendipitous may be the perfect way to describe his early years as a reporter for the New York Times. His first overseas assignment? Moscow in the late 1980s, where he not only covered the collapse of the Soviet Union, but won a Pulitzer Prize for his work. His next assignment? Johannesburg, where he witnessed the end of the apartheid era, even though he eventually shifted from the reporting to the editorial side of the newsroom. Bill still found himself with a front row seat to periods of transformative change. As executive editor of the New York Times, he grappled with and saw firsthand the effect of the digital revolution on the newspaper business. Later, as a founding editor-in-chief of the Marshall Project, a nonprofit news organization, he led a team with an explicitly transformative agenda, creating and sustaining a sense of national urgency about the U.S. criminal justice system. Towards the end of his tenure at the Times, Bill was asked by a high school student how to know if she should pursue a career in writing. Invoking the highest aspirations of the liberal arts, he responded, "If you know how to gather information, test it, organize it, and interpret it. If you can share it in a language that is clear, maybe even beautiful at times, if you can do that, the world has a place for you." On this day, when we send our graduates forth, perhaps still a little bit uncertain about their place in the world, but armed with a hopefully eclectic Pomona education, these are words that the class of 2021 should take to heart. Madam President, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Pomona College, it is my very great honor to present Bill Keller for the degree of Doctor of Laws.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon William Keller the degree of Doctor of Laws in Pomona College, honoris causa.
I want to thank Gabby and the trustees for this tremendous honor and congratulate the class of 2021 on surviving what must have been an incredibly disorienting year. The last time I spoke at commencement was in 2002. It was another class that had spent its senior year in a world out of whack. My theme on that occasion was luck. I'm a great believer in luck, having been the beneficiary of a lot of it myself. Recently, I ran across a remark by the great French microbiologist Louis Pasteur that I offer as a postscript to my 2002 remarks. Pasteur said, "Luck favors the prepared mind." At Pomona, you've had the benefit of one of the best mind-preparing institutions in the world, so I'm confident in wishing you all bonne chance. I want to say a few words today about some people whom luck has not favored. The country's 2 million incarcerated men and women. By now, I imagine many of you know the statistics. In the US, we have less than 5% of the world's population, but more than 20% of the world's prisoners. If you've read Michelle Alexander or Brian Stevenson, you know that these numbers disproportionately include men and women of color, and that it is possible to trace the roots of this inequity back through the war on drugs, to Jim Crow, to slavery itself. Our prisons have become de facto old age homes and mental hospitals, and thanks in large part to COVID-19, morgues. I came late to this subject in the twilight of a 50-year career in journalism, and I'm now trying to sum up what I've learned in a book. I've been interviewing and re-interviewing scholars, advocates, educators, corrections officials, and prisoners about the role of prison in American life. There's way too much to cover in my allotted minutes here, but I want to share a thought that might be useful to you as you begin your post-Pomona life. Many of the people who work to address the failings of the criminal justice system believe the only real answer is a profound reckoning with poverty, inequity, and racism. Michelle Alexander, the author of The New Jim Crow, told me once that repairing criminal justice requires a radical restructuring of our society. Activists like Mariame Kaba and Angela Davis call for abolishing prisons altogether. And people who don't go that far generally agree that really fixing the problem, really fixing it, means a huge investment in the communities most harmed by crime and punishment. An investment in jobs, housing, health care, and education. The immensity of the problem causes many activists and reformers to suffer bouts of inadequacy. Several advocates have told me they worry that by promoting college education for the incarcerated, for example, they're just making a toxic system more palatable. But, and this is the lesson, they keep at it. They measure success in increments. Release prisoners who have a fighting chance because they got a college degree in prison. Addicted and mentally ill defendants offered treatment in place of jail time. Corrections officials who decide to stop the routine torture that is solitary confinement. And policymakers who curb the abuse of mandatory minimum sentences. Despite disappointments and frustrations, they have not let the revolution be the enemy of the reform. They make a small difference in the inhumanity of the system by making a big difference in individual human beings. So with that in mind, I have a 4-step program for those of you who would also like to make a small difference. And by the way, I offer the same advice if your cause is not criminal justice, but climate change, or gun safety, or gay rights, or immigration, or access to health care. Step 1, keep learning. Don't let your new diploma mark the end of your education. Subscribe to news and information that you trust, that challenges your assumptions. Read it and share it. If criminal justice happens to be your passion, the Marshall Project's daily newsletter is a good place to start. It's a succinct roundup of news and commentary from around the country, and it's free. Although if you want to chip in a few bucks, nobody will complain. Step 2, engage. March if you can. Vote, of course. Better yet, help your neighbors to vote. Write to your representatives and ask that they tell you their position on mandatory sentencing or decriminalization of low-level drug crimes, or whatever the issue is that moves you. Be sure to include state and local representatives because that's where most of the policing, judging, and incarceration takes place. If you aren't satisfied by their answers, say so. Step 3, invest. If you can spare some cash, search out the advocacy and service organizations whose work you admire and become a regular donor. $20 a month can go a long way in the nonprofit world. Or invest your time. Volunteer to work with a grassroots organization that resettles prisoners who've done their time. Write letters to incarcerated juveniles and adults. A few minutes on Google will get you started. Step 4, if learning, engaging, and investing aren't enough, infiltrate. Get inside the system. Run for office, get a teaching credential. Become a DA or a public defender. Take the civil service exam. Whatever problem you see out there, I guarantee it's a lot more complicated than it looks from the outside. And there are amazing people on the inside trying to solve it. Be one of them. Thanks and good luck.
It is a pleasure and honor to introduce Maestro Gustavo Dudamel, one of our generation's most decorated musical conductors, the music and artistic director of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, the Orquesta Sinfónica Simón Bolívar in his native Venezuela, and now musical director for the Paris Opera. Gustavo Dudamel is the product of El Sistema, the musical program founded in Venezuela in 1975 under the vision of Maestro José Antonio Abreu. The project introduced classical music to children in marginalized neighborhoods where few opportunities existed. Living in Venezuela, I remember seeing small children proudly balancing trombones, cellos, violins, violas, and other instruments on their way to Saturday practice. Beyond music, El Sistema taught leadership, it taught opportunity, it opened up another world of possibilities. That is precisely what Maestro Dudamel has done throughout his career, and especially here in LA. After multiple stellar engagements in Europe and having received numerous international awards, he arrived in Los Angeles. And inspired by El Sistema, Maestro Dudamel and the LA Phil founded Youth Orchestra of Los Angeles that has trained hundreds of young people of color who had never previously been exposed to formal musical training. That is leadership, opportunity, and possibility among many such examples in Gustavo Dudamel's life and career. As a firm believer that music is life-changing, Maestro Dudamel has taken music to the people. Besides his masterful and exhilarating performances at Disney Hall, the home of the LA Phil, his summer concerts at the Hollywood Bowl, Gustavo and Friends, and his Sin Fronteras, Without Borders, have seamlessly blended classical masterpieces with U.S. and Latin American genres, drawing performers as diverse as Herbie Hancock, Carlos Santana, Juan Luis Guerra, Natalia Lafourcade, Santa Cecilia, and Café Tacuba, to name a few. The musical experiences in Los Angeles have been transformed by the presence of Maestro Gustavo Dudamel. In Southern California, we can now mark a period before Dudamel and a period since Dudamel's arrival. He has, of course, captivated us with his skills as a conductor, but like all the great maestros, he has also been a messenger, conveying beauty, humanity, and hope. We are all, especially now, richer for his message. Madam President, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the faculty of Pomona College, it is my great honor to present Gustavo Dudamel for the degree of Doctor of Arts.
By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon Gustavo Dudamel the degree of Doctor of Arts in Pomona College, honoris causa.
President Starr, trustees, faculty, friends, and noble parents, it is a beautiful day. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you on this most special occasion. And to my dear class of 2021, congratulations. I cannot see you, but I don't need to. I know that you glow with youth and promise, and that each and every one of you is beautiful and strong beyond measure. This past year, you have had to be. Extraordinary times call for extraordinary people, and I know you are extraordinary because here you are. You made it. You made it past the online classes and awkward distancing and loneliness to the light. Today, you stand on the threshold of the stories you will write for yourself and the world you will make for all of us. I did not graduate from a liberal arts college like Pomona because I studied music from the time I was very young. My college was, in a way, the orchestra. I would like to share some of my orchestral experiences with you. They form the basis of 3 wishes I have for you today. Wish number 1. The first time I stepped onto the conductor's podium at 11 years old, I was pretending. Our teacher was late, so I took up the baton and pretended to lead the rehearsal. I was just having fun, making my friends laugh, and you can guess what happened next. I got caught. I didn't realize it, but our teacher had arrived and was watching me from the back of the room. He didn't stop me. He let me keep going, and after that rehearsal, he made me his assistant conductor. Would I be speaking to you today had I not been playing around back then, trying something new and not worrying what people thought of me? Maybe, but maybe not. This is my first wish for you today. is that you might see the value of playfulness, laughter, and boundless open-heart curiosity. When we play, we are free. And that lack of self-consciousness leads not only to joy, but also to self-discovery. Wish number 2. The orchestra performs many different types of music, but we will always have our core repertoire. The classics, Mozart, Mahler, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky. As you might imagine, professional musicians play these pieces so many times that they lose count. Part of my job as a conductor is to shake us out of the feeling of routine. My mentor, Maestro José Antonio Abreu, taught me that each opportunity to make music is a chance to bring about a better world. And each encounter with beauty is something to be taken seriously. We can see something familiar as though it were new. It is all in our perspective. Over the past year, our worlds have been made much smaller by the pandemic, but they don't need to be. The Portuguese poet Fernando Pessoa wrote, "One need only exist to travel. I go from day to day, as from station to station, in the train of my body or my destiny, leaning out over the streets and squares, over people's faces and gestures, always the same and always different, just like scenery. If I imagine, I see. Life is what we make of it. Travel is the traveler. What we see isn't what we see, but what we are." That is my second wish for you, to imagine, so that you might see. Wish number 3. There are 2 projects my foundation has undertaken that I would like to tell you about. The first is Encuentros, which brings together hundreds of young musicians from community programs across the Americas and the world to play together and to explore the harmony, compassion, and cultural unity available to us through music. It is one of the ways I am able to live the values taught to me by Maestro Abreu, who believed that orchestras could and should act as agents of social change by providing us with a model of solidarity and means for expressing the sublime. The second project is Symphony, a virtual reality film intended to bring symphonic music to a new generation of listeners, many of whom live in remote communities that might never be visited by an orchestra. Our desire is to utilize technology as a resource of connecting people to the essence of music and the intimacy of the form. On the surface, these projects may not seem to have a lot in common. One is focused on real-life encounters between young musicians, and the other on virtual encounters with music. But they are both, at their hearts, about opening up the experience of beautiful music to everyone and letting that experience uplift the souls of the communities and ourselves. This leads me to my last wish for you, which is beauty. I hope there is always beauty in your lives. Where you find it, through music, art, film, literature, or dance, beauty is something no one can ever take from you. When everything else falls away, beauty will be there, always giving, never taking. Its power lies in its ability to touch our souls and open us up to our own emotions and understanding of others. And we must continually be opening ourselves up to our inner lives, to others, to the world. That is what makes life itself beautiful. Bernstein once said, "Life without music is unthinkable." But I would expand on that and simply say, life without beauty is unthinkable. And so I want to leave you today with something beautiful. A few months ago, I led the Los Angeles Philharmonic in a performance of Jessie Montgomery's short piece, Starburst. Jessie based her composition on the following definition of what astronomical event. A starburst is the rapid formation of large numbers of new stars in a galaxy at the rate high enough to alter the structure of the galaxy significantly. Congratulations to you, our brilliant new stars. I wish you boundless curiosity, a vivid imagination, and the openness only beauty can provide. Everything you will need to alter the galaxy.
Sagehands, the class of 2021, you have made us immensely proud. In all the ways that Sagehands normally do, but also in a wide array of others. You've been tested, and you've been proven. We'll miss you, but our sadness is tempered by our firm understanding that you can truly accomplish anything you put your minds to. Will the members of the class of 2021 please rise? Madam President, upon recommendation of the faculty of Pomona College and by vote of the Board of Trustees, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Pomona College.
Gabriel Ahmed Abdullatif, Zachary D. Abisali, Sarah Sophia Acevedo Rubin, Malak Afana, Emma Marie Ahadoberry,
Roman Ali Ahmed,
Sahi Eileen On, Marcel Alfonso Garcia, Gabriel Philip Pereira Alzate, Carol Ambris,
Bukuru Anaklet,
Gabriel Joseph Ancinas, Joseph Maguire Antonellis, Jorge Armando Aparicio, Nicole Abril Arce, Jack Nicholas Arnold, Giacomo Asensi, Ethan Cade Ashby, Arhan Bagati, Brendan Richard Barrow, Alexander Lee Bartone, Sarah Gul Bushir, Alexa Bayongos, Theodore Andrew Bazakas, Araceli Becerra, Pauline Marie-Jose Beckers, John Allen Bernstein, Amelia Joy Best, Maxwell Alexander Bethel, Samuel Louis Byther,
Summa Cum Laude,
Katarina Bolonikova, Ladin Bolok, Jenna Nicole Perry Brandt, Mark Lazar Braun, Dylan Victor Bresnan, Patricia Calderon, Evelyn Marisol Khan Vasquez, Tyler Peter Carmichael, Sabrina Nobrega Carneru, Geraldine Castaneda Barranco, Donovan Ronaldo Castaneda Olmedo, Martha Anna Castro, Immacula Temika Celestine, Ali K. Center, Christine Lily Chang, Megan Taylor Chang, Wesley Sean Chang, Boyuan Chen, Jacinta Yuansa Chen.
Summa cum laude.
Tiffany Chen. Isabel Tian Cheng. Christine Cho. Joseph Cho. Emily Kathleen Christopher. Lindsay Megumi Chu. Angelica Soyun Chun. Zane A. Chungmadi. Christian Critchlow Clark. Tom Clark. Lola Matilda Cohen. Michaela Drew Cohen. Jonathan Eric Contreras. Iren Azra Koskin. Lauren Bryant Cravens. Cynthia Victoria Cuellar. Linnea Carell Dahmen. Vanessa Patrice Dalpiaz. Christopher Allen Darden Jr. Gabriel Das. Catherine Thayer Denend. Aman Anil Desai. Brian Ronald Diangson. Madeline Rory Dortignac. Dainica Vin Della Peña Dreza. Rihanna Anastasia Duncan. Jocelyn Duran Martinez. Adam J. Dvorak. Kira Edsel. Christabel Chidera Egemba. Hutchinson Christopher Fan. James Robert Feinberg. Keith Alexander Ferguson. Samuel Selassie Ferguson. Gio Farrow. Danai Flivaraki. Carter Floyd. Gianluca Minardi. Alexander Merle Franklin. Alexandra Frazier. Carrie Friday. Tessa Fujisaki. Tarini Nailesh Ganti. Ahana Ganguly. Sean Ming Gao. Daniel Joseph Garcia. Eric Durand Garcia. Lucy Jane Geller. Claire Campani Generous. Jordan Louis Gertner. Humphrey Nguru Jashiru. Elia Lizette Gil Rojas. Ray Sarah Gleekle. Emma Catherine Godfrey. Claire Isabella Goldman. Krista Wagner Gomez. Jaime Antonio Gonzalez Hernandez. Nicholas Gordon. Grayson Zachary Gove. Amina Grant. Jordan Andrew Green. Junhao Gu. Justin ZJ Guo. Zoe Amelia Haggard. Caitlin Joan Halligan. Lauren Taylor Hamilton. Anna Christine Hansel. Matthias Hapti Selassie. Elise Isabel Heck. Ryder Lee Heights. Daniel Jacob Herrera. Janelle Cindy Herring. Margaret Kreitz Harrington. Barbara Winslow Hersey Powers. Aleja Corazon Hertzler McCain, Gabrielle Herzig, Charisse Michelle Legrand Higgins, Michael McElroy Hill, Irizarry Isaiah Russell, Sarah Yasmin Hoback, Calder Sage Holland, Natalie Young Hong, Ethan Michael Horton, Pongbo Ku, Christina Yvonne Hunter, Ji Min Huang, Adia Janae James, Isabel Ava James, Emily Ishu Zhang, Edward Jung, Nicholas Allen Jung, Payel Katru, Maris Kialoha Kumalu, William Tiger Kaplan, Timothy Keirioki, Isabella Ann Kearney, Abigail Decat Keevil, Georgia Kendarova, Soham Khan, Samuel Rana Canavis, Priscilla Ho-Win Key, Elena Kim, Laura Ajin Kim, Noah Nathan Kim, Jackson Kinder, Sabina Ko, Jed Maxwell Cronenberg, Annabelle Rose Awewonu Kubabom, Elise McKenna Keithley, Sushmit Surendra Kulkarni, Jackson Sheridan Kuzmik, Chloe Lambrinidou, Torin Lee Langford, Alon Lapid, Luke Martin Layton, Daniel June Lee, Janice Lee, Hailey Lay, Frey Thomas Lemonholm, Derry Lee, Emma Mintong Lee, Damian Zoe Lin, Alexandra Mackenzie Lintner, Allison S. Liu, Tenny Zenon Leo, Ryan Jackson Long, Edwin Lopez Gonzalez, Tiani Liu, Francesca Lubetsky Wild, Annabelle Faye Lucas, Matthew Charles Ludlam, Gabrielle Lynn Lupola, Kira Angela Madunich, Jose Magaya, Paul Mayo Singer, Elisa M. Martinez, Kenzie Clariville Martinez, Vianney Martinez, Rafael Martinez Avial Palazuelos, Noe Martignon, Miranda Sarah Matlin, Blaze A. Mogeri, Ariana Maxwell, Mira Bella May,
Summa cum laude.
Julia Maria Maya, Faith Ayana Mbaduga, Rowan McGarry Williams, Tahiv Anthony McGee, Anam Shefral Mehta, Thummum Getahun Mukuria. Agnes Yi-Li Mock. Camille Raven de Leon Molas. Alfred Alexander Molina. Casey Austin Morrison. Kirsten Britta Mortimer. Sekashe Mufunya. Shahid Marquise Mohammed. Adele Hope Myers. Natalie Cassandra Navarro. Jack Cameron Neely. Avery J. Nelson. Winston Monroe Nelson. Jerusalem Nereo. Aaliyah L'Oreal Newell. Andrea Wen Nguyen. Daisy Yuan Ni. Michaela Kukikeponolani Nishida. Hyun Wook No. Ivana Amy Akotawa Ofore. Ethan Ru Ong. Kael Delan Mariano Ong. Olivia Nanabia Alochukwu Onelauga. Nicholas O. Lizeth Estefania Ortega Luna. Jessica Lynn Orvis. Ruben Pacheco Caldera. Nathan Jackson Papalardo. John Park. Haley Camille Parsley. Ufzal Patel. Alexandra Jacqueline Patterson. Maya Marie Polly. Brandon Jordan Peavy. Marina Pinignori. Emily Rose Petro.
Summa cum laude.
Cody Hugh Pham. Ruben Mendoza Pinuelos. Viviana Isabel Plancarte. Katya Tenley Pollock. Isabella Camille Polverine. Ian Matthew Poveda. Alexander Tucker Preston. Michael Rann. Sarah Gabriela Reyes Noriega. Caitlin Elizabeth Robertson. Jay Radolitz. Joanna Rodriguez. Jorge Rodriguez. Julia Laurel Rogers. Pavle Rahale. Alex Rosen. Natasha Rosenthal. Jennifer Rufino. Alessandro Ruvalcaba. Sarah Elizabeth Ryerson. Tammy Julia Sacre. Daryl C. Sanders II. Yamile Sandoval. Marilyn Merlina Santa Cruz. Ashna Prakash Saraf. Grace Elena Sarton. Karsten Julian Savage. Liana Charlie Semenson. Nathaniel Sherman Serurier. Tanya Vikram Shah. Noah J. Shapiro. Issei Athena Enriquez Sharp. Michaela Denise Shelton. Scott Shepperton. Emma Ann Sheridan.
Andy Maylee Sheridan.
Willa Grace Scheel. Aiden Misra Sibel. Yuste Maria Simanowskaita. Ryan Austin Smith, Samuel So, Victor Solorzano Gringeri, Karen Song, Albie Squire, Tierra Kashana Starks, Eamon James Stain, Hershita Kaur Suri, Renee Isabel Susanto, Katie Marie Sweer, Renee Mariko Tamura, Eric Tang, Marie Tano, Tirapon Tanprosert,
Summa cum laude.
Adam Leo Taslitz, Nicholas Jeffrey Timms, Alan Tree Tom, Justin Shinrong Tong, Sophia Grace Torrance, Angela Shea Tron, Brandon Anyun Tron, Bita Tristani Feruzi, William Burrell Troxel, Michelle Tunger, Desaya Chanel Turner, Jacob Christian Duncan Turner, Emmanuel Tuyashime, Gabriel Roland Udell, Delanice Valdez, Alejandra Valencia Medina, Emma Louise Vanderveen, Elias von Emmerich, Cheyenne B. Vance, Vienna Rose Vance, Sagar Vasandani, Atakorn Vasiksiri, Alejandro Vasquez Martinez, Siddharth Venugopal, Diego Fernando Vergara, Julian Villaseñor, Sirish Vinakota,
Summa cum laude.
Sean King Volke, Paige Rochelle Voss, True August Wakhtar Savoy, Cassandra Wong, Ju Wong, Wong Thilin, Hugo Carl Eric Ward, Adam Meekum Weber, Emma Elizabeth Weed, Lillian Jean Wiedas, Austin Wen, Adelaide Wendell, Travis Doran Werling, Timothy George Wesley, Adam Douglas White, Isabel Natalia Wiesenthal, Brenda C. Wong, Yi Young, Malcolm Crane Yeary, Deborah Jimmy-Young Yi, Adeline Yu, David J.J. Yu,
Summa cum laude.
Ivy Yuan, Violeta Curiel Zaragoza, Bailey Zhong, Tiffany Yuting Ju, Fred Rayner Zukule.
Now, by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Pomona College, with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereto. I salute the class of 2021. Please move your tassels from the right to the left. Plagues have beset the world before, but the world never looked quite like it does in our lifetime. so intertwined, so interdependent. We learned that this past year as we left campus, returned home, sheltered in place, educated from a distance. We realized that place, which we took for granted, was something we held dear. We recognized how much space each person we know occupies in our heart when we felt their absence and the emptiness around us. Many of us endured loss. Many of us fought loneliness. Too many people were taken from us worldwide, and all of us lived. We can never answer the whys, but we can begin to answer the what nows. We have all been stretched past our limits. Some of us have been ill. Some of us have been caregivers during a loved one's sickness. Some of us have watched with great anxiety as our family members struggle to make ends meet during severe economic strain. All of us are zoomed out. What now? Seek renewal. Look for ways to be revived. Whether it's a spiritual practice, reestablishing relationships, self-care, and for all of us, service to others. We now have vaccines for the virus, but we need to build up our immunity for life at large, and that takes time. Attending to your entire well-being, body, mind, and spirit, seems like a privilege. But we must put on our oxygen mask first before we're able to assist our neighbors. Take a moment to breathe deeply. Rest assured, it may take a little time to get to where you want to go, but you've been well equipped for career success. You have a network of Sage and alumni, you have a career development office, you have family and friends, you have determination and a diploma that will take you far. But don't forget who you are, besides your achievements. What you do should be celebrated, definitely, but who you are, aside from any accomplishment, should be cherished. You are more than your grades. You're more than your alma mater. You're more than whatever job you do or do not get. You're more than the sum of your friends or enemies. You have intrinsic value. Treat yourself accordingly. What now? We've all been fighting for our lives. The fight isn't over yet, but in the days and months ahead, may those swords you've had to wield become plowshares. For over 1 year, our energy has been spent on beating back a pandemic. In the coming years, may you turn the earth over instead. Turn it over with your acts of kindness to counter what can be a cruel world. Turn it over with words that build up instead of tearing down. The world has changed so much since you first arrived. You came after a presidential election that launched a period of discord. Many of us have been embattled politically, socially, mentally, physically. There are many more battles ahead. There are many more causes we must agitate for. We have great pride in you for your refusal to follow base instincts. Whatever your political views or social commitments, Pomona students proved that you can participate in civic life without denigrating each other. I'm confident you will continue with that kind of civil engagement, because the work of justice is never done. But turn the earth over by being a peacemaker. Notice I didn't say a peacekeeper. Making peace is a world apart from keeping peace. It is gritty, get in the ground, plowing sort of work. What now? Strive to always be just in your actions, advocating for the marginalized. Work to always be gracious in your speech, conscious that what you say and how you say it matters. Be self-aware enough to always be humble in your bearing, remembering that all of us only see in part, but the part you do see matters. You've had access to the finest education possible. That doesn't make you better than others, but it does give you more responsibility. What we know about neural networks is that the more you use them, the more connected they become. Maximizing our brain requires that we use maximum energy. As one cognitive neuroscientist put it, whatever we think about the most grows because we're giving it energy. Whatever we speak about the most amplifies because we are giving it volume. New knowledge needs to be shouted from the rooftops. If you don't, The danger is it won't be heard. You can't expect that just whispering the truth is going to be enough. What now? Go and speak. Make your declaration. Use your mind. Use your words. Use your voice. And use your heart. In her poem, The Answer, Sarah Teasdale wrote, "Joy was a flame in me, too steady to destroy. What now? Feed that flame." To speak of joy may seem like sacrilege after such tremendous loss, but neither the poet nor I am speaking of warm and fuzzy feelings. We speak of resilience, refusal, and defiance, not denial. This virus has stolen so much, but we haven't let it take everything, and you are proof of that. So, what now? Be good to yourself. Make peace through justice. Speak out and speak up for others. Go forth boldly and celebrate. Congratulations to the class of 2021.
May our